Hey YouTubers, it's Platt. We're continuing on our beer style series. We're also continuing in Belgium, and we're also continuing on with the sour beers of Belgium. The particular beer we're trying today is called a Belgian Gueuze. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Let's go over the numbers real quick. SRM 6 to 13. Our IBUs are going to be between 9 and 23. ABV, this beer is between 4.5 to close to 8% alcohol by volume. And temperature-wise, we're going to serve this beer between 40 and 50. If you remember, I said with the lambic beers, because these beers are sour, you want to kind of keep them on the cooler side because warm and sour is not necessarily the best combination. This beer starts off just like the lambic we talked about earlier. The major difference is the lambic had, after the fermentation process got started or whatever, had fruit added, and the fruit gave the beer its color profile and flavor profile. Well, there's no additional fruit with this beer. What they do is they produce an older beer that is fully fermented and allowed to age 2, 3, up 5+ years. And then they produce a younger beer, and just like the lambic beer, it's a similar mash bill. They produce 60 to 70% malted barley and then 30 to 40% unmalted or flaked wheat. That's the mash bill. And anyway, a younger beer is produced, and it's not allowed to fully ferment when it gets blended with the older beer and then bottled. And so then what happens is there's sugars left over for the yeast to still work on, and you get a secondary fermentation in the bottle, and that also means the beer is bottled conditioned. These beers, some of them can be aged. You can have beers up to 20 years of age in the blend of these beers. Some of the brewers, just a little side note, do artificially sweeten some of these. Some of them even use an aspartame. But the classic style is no artificial sweeteners. They do that because these can be real sour beers, and to kind of make it more palatable to a larger percentage of the public, some brewers do that. So just something to keep a note on. This particular beer, color-wise, is a gold to medium amber. Because it's bottle conditioned, you can get a slight haze. If poured correctly, it's a fairly clear beer, but you can get that yeast haze if a little bit of that yeast gets poured into the beer. Carbonation-wise, medium plus. Because it's bottle conditioned, you could have some beers where you get a lot of carbonation, and you want to be cognizant of that when opening this beer. Alcohol, light to mild. These aren't big beers, especially compared to some of the Belgian beers we'll be trying later on. Hop-wise, you're not just like the lambics. No hop aroma, no hop flavor, no hop bitterness. But actually in this beer, they actually use a lot of hops, surprisingly. What they do is they use aged hops, or hops that have been now allowed to sit a year plus, and what happens is they lose their hop aroma, flavor, and bitterness. But what gets transferred in this beer, and what a lot of people don't know about hops, is hops are a great antiseptic. Years and years ago, if you had a cut or whatever, they rub hops on the wound and it helped clean the wound. It's a great natural preservative, and that's its purpose in this beer. Again, these beers can be aged a long time, and so that hops that they use helps preserve the beer in that aging process. You also, because the aged hops might pick up some weird cheese or even a lavender kind of notes, that's from the aged hops. Because of the unique fermentation process, the lactobacillus and Brettanomyces and the other Brettanomyces and lactobacillus and all the other microorganisms that get in there, it can produce some real fruity, funky esters. One of the terms they like to use in Belgian beers is barnyard. Terms like goaty, which I'm not sure what a goat flavor is, horsey, leathery, or whatever, and that's a byproduct of the fermentation. Body-wise, this is a softer beer with a drying, kind of medium finish. This beer goes really well with shellfish and rich chocolate cakes. The particular beer we're trying today is from Lindemans. It is the Gueuze Cuvée, which you wine folks out there would know that means blend. Also, like last week's beer, this beer will have a top and a cork. So let's give her a try. And for those of you that don't have a wine opener, if you're a beer guy, you still need a wine opener. So let's... There we go. And like I said, we're going to be careful to pour because we don't want that yeast getting in there. As you can see, we have plenty of carbonation, and you might not could tell, but the bubbles are just racing up. And again, that could definitely happen in these bottled conditioned beers. Let's give her a little nose. Yeah, I get almost a little champagne-y, kind of cidery nose to it. No hop aroma or flavor on this one. A dry kind of nose, if that makes any sense. If you've had drier champagnes, you might get what we're talking about. Let's give her a try. Woo! That is sour. Make you pucker a little. But nothing, but it's not unbearable sourness, I will say that. Definite champagne effervescence to it. Not much of a punch on the front of your tongue as far as sweetness, but boy, the bitterness and a little, just a hint of acidity. But as far as viscosity, body, drinkability, this is lighter. Definitely soft palate, like we'd said earlier. This is something I could definitely drink on a cooler day. This is not a fall winter type beer. I can definitely see this being also a good beer to pair with a lot of different foods. A lot of wine people will tell you that champagne works great with a lot of food. Part of it is because a cleaner, drier finish to it. Also, the effervescence kind of helps cleanse the palate or whatever. And I can see where this would come in handy in a lot of foods too. Yeah, that is definitely a different a twist on things. This is the sours to the three beers as far as the Belgian sours I've tried. I don't know if I would drink multiple of those, but it's definitely worth throwing in as kind of a twist. Also, I might think this might be something the non-beer drinker that might, again, like champagnes and ciders, you might can introduce them to this. Well, I hope you liked this video. And if you did, please subscribe down below. As always, feel free to leave any comments, questions, or concerns in the comment section, or you can always contact me on the Twitter page. Well, until next time, bottoms up.